4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Certainly when you go through the launch day preparations, there's a lot of moments that kind of stand out to you.
When the engine's light, you know you are going, and you know you're going somewhere pretty fast. When the engine shut off, you go from 3 Gs to 0 Gs instantaneously, and things start floating. And I remember distinctly just thinking, what just happened?
Same thing happens when you get to space station. It's kind of a defining moment when you get the hatches back open. By sharing this experience with SpaceX and creating another partner that has the same capability, I think we really set the future up to continue to blossom.
This will be the first time humans have ridden on the Falcon 9, even though it's flown many, many times. And so just taking in that experience and the sounds and all those things that we can relate to future crews is going to be something important to do too.
There we go. Wow. It's going to be amazing.
I'm geeking out. I mean, I'm been excited about this for a while. I remember back when they were doing the tests on the SpaceX, the Falcon 9, the Falcon Heavy, and then when they came out with the Dragon, and everybody was like, what's that thing for? And then as soon as you found out it was for people, everybody had their fingers crossed for this.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. I mean, welcome to the Bill Mason Show. This is all about space tomorrow, the big launch tomorrow at 4:33, I believe.
Yeah, we'll be putting, hopefully, with weather cooperation. Apparently, they're worried about a storm that's supposed to come through or something like that. But I guess, we'll see about that. But other than that, it'll be the first time in 9 years that, we've launched our astronauts from our own turf into space. So it's pretty impressive.
Right. Yes. I mean, it's a decade. I mean, it's like this is a pivotal moment. I mean, we won't have to rely on Russia to send our astronauts to space. Right.
And I watched an interview where Elon Musk was talking about the cost that, he's 20 times. So basically, from what I understood, we were paying almost $400 million per seat to send somebody into space through Russia. He's doing it for 20 million. Right. I mean, it's a ridiculous cost cut, and he's taking all the risks, like all the research that he's done throughout the years for SpaceX. He didn't even have the contracts lined up. He was just doing engine builds and building the Merlin and the Kestrel and the Falcon Heavy rockets and stuff like that for his own shits and giggles, so to speak. And then he started to get contracts where he was doing the cargo, and I think that maybe financed the rest of it. But it's great, man. I'm super excited.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be great. I mean, plus if this works, by the way, if everything goes smoothly, you're looking at 2021. He's planning on sending cargo ships to Mars. Yeah. 2024, a base on Mars.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that everybody, so for people who don't know, like Lockheed Martin and a lot of, and Boeing even had huge contracts with NASA for stuff like this. And they always used a propellant, I think it was called like RP-1. And what Elon did is he said, no, I'm going to run mine on methane. And they're like, you're an idiot. Why would you do that? Because you can extract methane from the atmosphere of Mars. So once he uses methane to power the Falcons and all of that stuff, he has a return. He's already thought ahead, is what I'm trying to say. Like, he's already thought next step. He's like, why do I want to build rockets based on RP-1 when you can't? You'd have to ship RP-1 to Mars to be able to power our rockets. You could suck methane out of Mars's atmosphere and literally power our rockets back. I mean, he's just next level, man.
That's great. I mean, this tomorrow, if it happens tomorrow, and hopefully it will,
Yeah.
This is the defining moment of human history, I think.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
how big it is.
And for me, right? So like I grew up, I was one of those kids who wanted to go to space camp, and I've been to Cape Canaveral a couple times, and I was really really young, probably too young to even remember much about when I saw my first launch and just being like enamored with it. And now we don't have these. What SpaceX has brought us, they were like weird looking, covered in like orange tin foil and kind of like hokey looking with like, you know, Star Trekky looking like lights that flickered. Right. This Dragon, man, it's loaded with touch screens and it really
it's
looks
not old school. It's new school now.
This is new school, man. Like we are taking it next level to space. And like I saw some footage of like, you know, the International Space Station and it looks, if he gets a chance to update that thing like he wants to. So apparently part of the plan of that is to have a module that you can rent hotel rooms that orbit the Earth. I mean, this dude is so next level, it's ridiculous. But
yeah, the good thing about it is he has it all planned out.
Yeah,
what he's going to do each step, next year, we can do it in 2 years from now, 4 years from now, and it's great. I mean, it's great to have a commercial person doing this that's not part of the government.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So
American ingenuity.
Exactly. So, but we do have a kind of a sad video here. We're going to play. Elon Musk was talking about other astronauts not supporting him. Let's take a look, okay?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Who don't like this idea. Neil Armstrong, Gene Cernan have both testified against commercial spaceflight and the way that you're developing it, and I wonder what you think of that.
I was very sad to see that, because those guys are, you know, those guys are heroes of mine, so it's really tough. You know, I wish they would come and visit and see the hardware that we're doing here. And I think that would change their mind.
They inspired you to do this, didn't they?
Yes.
And to see them casting stones in your direction.
It's difficult.
Did you expect them to cheer you on?
Certainly hoping they would.
What are you trying to prove to them?
What I'm trying to do is to make a significant difference in spaceflight and help make spaceflight accessible to almost anyone.
There he is. So, I mean, Elon Musk visibly upset about that question.
Yeah, because I mean, you can honestly see, you know, when he said like, "Oh man, those guys got me into this. They were my heroes." You know, watching the, you know, the moon landing, and he actually wants to get back to the moon as well. I mean, this is all stuff like a kid who just wants to fulfill all his like boyhood dreams, but most of us just stare out the window and imagine what it's like. This guy's actually doing it, man, putting wrenches to bolts and making stuff happen. It's pretty impressive.
It is very impressive. And, you know, we'll take a look at the stages of the mission for tomorrow.
Okay.
So as you can see there, it's lift off, go to International Space Station, and parachuting back down.
Yeah. And it's crazy how the Falcon 9 lands. If anyone's ever seen it lands like in reverse, where you know the other thing that you know, the big hurdle that he accomplishes, it's a reusable, you know, rocket engine, where NASA for probably 2 decades would just blow up everything they had and just send like pieces and rings and shrapnel down into the ocean, and it was like millions of dollars down the drain. These things come back and they're ready to go again. I mean, that's right there is recycling, and you know,
that's great. I mean,
the interchangeable parts aspect of his program. So he also figured that in after making like the Tesla automobiles and, you know, studying all that, how interchangeable parts really makes everything easier. Some of his rocket engines can be repaired easily. He thought of everything, like being on the surface of Mars and being able to do more with less, and that's kind of, you know, been his thing. Reusable parts and doing more with less would make it financially attainable, because the guys that stood in the way of this, like Lockheed and Boeing and all these companies, were always saying, "Oh man, that'll cost you $1 trillion to do that." Well, of course they wanted the pie in the sky budget, to try it. And Elon's like, I could probably do it for half. And they're like, let's see. Right. So, I mean, honestly, that's what's happening is those guys that had those contracts locked up. I mean, if you look at the space shuttle had no way if something went wrong to escape the thing. Like if there was a major catastrophe, this thing, the Dragon, can be shot off and it can power itself out into the atmosphere and then parachute back down and save the contents, where the space shuttle was like, man, we're all in on this, man. If this thing goes, we're done. As we saw, you know, I watched that on TV when the Challenger exploded. Yeah. So I mean, he's also took some of those catastrophes and said never again. Like that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, the space shuttle really didn't have a long-term plan. I mean, this program does. Exploring the solar system, building bases on Mars or the moon. Very, very good plan. So we have a Discovery Channel, kind of commercial kind of thing, but it's very good. It tells you about what's going to happen tomorrow. And let's take a look, okay?
Sure.
The highest priority is launching American astronauts on American rockets from American soil.
SpaceX is the disruptor. This is an experiment, really a bold and risky bet by NASA that private companies can fly NASA's most precious resource, its astronauts, to space.
Space is hard. Sometimes things do blow up.
They come from Silicon Valley. They have a different mindset. They like to fly, test, and then fix, which is very different than the historical NASA way of doing things.
And if it's not beyond the realm of physics, there's an engineering way to get it done.
It's an honor to be not only representing NASA, but SpaceX as well in this next step of space exploration.
There you go. So, I mean, even the space suits look pretty futuristic, doesn't it? I mean, look.
Right. They do. And there's no patches all over them. I don't, if you would look, so the older space shuttle crews, I mean, from my growing up, I remember orange, but I think before that they were blue, but they were covered in patches from like all their previous missions and all that other stuff. And like, these seem to be like a clean slate. Like they represent like starting over almost.
Yeah. They're nice and clear and crisp.
Yeah, there's really, I think, a little NASA logo like in the middle, and there's also a SpaceX one up here, but other than that, it's clean, man.
Oh, very nice. Yes, I like it. So let's take a look at Trump, see what he said. I think he's going tomorrow.
Yeah, I hope so. It's a big thing for America.
It is.
I'm thinking about going. That'll be next week to the rocket launch. I hope you're all going to join me. I'd like to put you on the rocket and get rid of you for a while. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Steve.
All right, so you want to put the reporters on the rocket?
Sure.
Instead of off.
Between you and me, we've seen what happens every time Trump is not, directly talking about the coronavirus. There are going to be people who be like, look at him watching a rocket launch when there's a coronavirus going on in the world. Like, how could he do that? I mean, if he does show up, I'm sure the major, we'll call them legacy media, is going to report about it negatively when it's probably the most positive thing you could focus on right now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, tomorrow's launch, and of course, that video was from last week, but tomorrow's launch is historical, like I said before.
Yeah.
It is the main, it's not everything goes smoothly. This is going to propel us into the future.
Yeah, and put us back in control of our own destiny as far as space, where, it was so weird when Barack Obama, like, not to go off on a tangent, but Barack Obama was one of the ones who basically put it out there like, we're not going to fund, these pie-in-the-sky budgets anymore. We're going to have private industries do it. And then there was such a void that they had no choice but to go to Russia, who... we all know how everybody on the Democratic side feels about Russia. They're like an arch enemy and all that stuff. But yet we relied on them to put some of our most sensitive material, our most sensitive satellite equipment, all of that stuff. We relied on them for close to 8 years. I mean, come on, man. So now at least we have America and NASA. I'll say NASA and SpaceX combined. And, the thing about Elon is, he is a patriot, man. He has showed his stripes so far through through all these things that have come up, these major ordeals, he's found a way to not only use Tesla to make ventilators and make solar panels for towns that needed extra power during disasters. I mean, he's really pulled his weight, as far as I'm concerned, as an American businessman, and he's literally innovating 24/7. So, I mean, to have him get this shot and take it, I'm not saying, I don't have any hate for the guys that make, commercial airliners and stuff like that. I mean, they're necessary too, but they really had a grip on the space program for 20 years that they probably shouldn't have. They got to run the cost up. Pretty much no one would challenge them. There was no other, bidder. And
no replacement.
So when he came in as kind of like the rookie off the bench, everybody kind of let's see what this guy could do. And now here we are.
Yes, a pivotal moment of history as we know it. So let's take a look at the crew a little bit. Okay, we have a video of the crew. Let's see what they're all about.
Action. I love doing that. This mission is the crewed test flight for the SpaceX Crew Dragon.
It has a lot of features and capabilities that hopefully we never have to utilize in a real mission, but Doug and I will make sure that they are all ready just in case we do.
In 3 words, I would just say he's pretty sharp.
Perfect. Doug's worst habits, I don't know, he's got a tighter sense of hygiene than I do, I think. Do you really want it cleaned that well? Yes, I do.
Yeah. He doesn't have one.
Yeah, you can't chicken out like that because I didn't chicken out.
Yeah.
So
what I would say is I know almost instantaneously when I've not done something correctly. Let's put it that way. He doesn't have a good poker face. Oh, that's me. No question.
Yeah, definitely Doug is more organized than I am, but I think there's a balance. He's organized with a set of information. I think I have a wider set of information. It just takes a while to find it. It's kind of an interesting question. I would bet on me.
It's a distance thing, right?
I would bet on me, but I think it's deceiving.
Yeah, Bob's deceptively fast, but maybe over a very short distance.
If like you're chasing a ball in a baseball game, that's Doug's job. But if you need to do a little bit further distance, it's probably me.
His favorite pastime, I think nowadays, his favorite pastime is hanging out with his son. And I think that's kind of for both of us, but Bob definitely, that's his. If he has a hobby, that's what it is.
I think the answer for both of us is really something that our dads made us do, and so those were the real jobs for us. And that's probably the hardest boss that you ever worked for is your father.
And it's not fun work usually. It's cleaning up, picking up, carrying, the good stuff.
He likes country and western. No, his favorite music is kind of in the alternative rock kind of category. We both kind of grew up with the 70s and 80s music, kind of have the same probably lexicon of music that we'll probably listen to on orbit.
I think I would be lying if I said that didn't happen probably once a week. Bob is just one of those guys that he's as competent, as smart, dependable, especially this particular experience where the last 2 years working, the two of us working directly with SpaceX. Obscure procedure. Obscure anything.
Obscure things out. If we had to get some useless information, Doug is always the repository for that. Just as a fun thing, he's the trivia master between the two of us.
You want to do that one first?
I think that the thing I'm most looking forward to is actually ending up in the water safely at the end of the mission and seeing how we both go through that experience of I'm expecting a little bit of a little bit of vomiting maybe to happen in the end game. So when we get to that opportunity to do that in the water together, it's kind of a weird thing to say, but I'm looking for that kind of celebratory event.
For me, it's just actually getting to fly the mission with Bob. You know, we've been close friends since we started as astronauts almost 20 years ago. So being lucky enough to get to fly with your best friend is kind of I think there's a lot of people that wish they could do that, and we're lucky enough to do it. We've spent a ton of time together. We could have gone two directions with that. We could have gotten to the point where we didn't want to be around each other, or, you know, we're closer. So, you know, I think just the whole experience for me is what we're looking for. And then, yes, the celebratory vomiting at the end of the mission will be excellent.
There we go.
Yeah, man. The few and the proud, man. All those kids out there that wanted to be astronauts. I mean, you look at such the small number of guys who actually, you know, become the best of the best. Yeah, and they make it to there. It's pretty amazing. And think about the sacrifice, you know, that their families go through, because this mission is kind of open-ended. You know, that's the other thing about this. It could go anywhere from 30 days to 120. Like they're really not sure, because they're also testing how the Dragon responds to radiation and, you know, the solar radiation. They want to make sure it can handle, you know, all of the rigors of space and return. You know, this is a big test for many things. And basically these guys are like part pilot, part scientist. I mean, part they have to be able to handle like a medical emergency in between them, you know, like all these things that they have to be able to do. They're like a guy that wears a lot of hats, you know, to make it that far.
Yeah, they will be pushing that rocket and the capsule to its limits to see what it does.
Yeah, and they have to document, and well, a lot of it's autonomous. Like in the one interview that I saw with Elon Musk, he said he tried to make it so they're basically maintenance men. That, you know, like the docking and stuff like that. He used a lot of the software that he uses for Tesla's self-driving cars, but adapted it to space. I mean, the dude is just like next level, man.
It is. I mean, they're coming down in a parachute, so we do have a video of what it takes for the parachute to come down.
Oh, the Dragon pod, yeah,
exactly.
To get it back.
So let's take a look at that.
Okay.
And that's what they're talking about when they reach the ocean, where they throw up or not.
Yeah, and I mean,
I probably would.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think those another thing I looked up is they can go number 1 or number 2 in those spacesuits. They are special spacesuits.
Oh wow!
So it's a compartmentalized diaper basically that it can hold just about anything for hours.
Nice.
Yeah, so
maybe people down here need that.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, a lot of things that were developed in space, like we pretty much owe Velcro to the space program and the cordless drill to the space program. So maybe this Tesla diaper that holds anything is probably going to make its way down to Walmart.
We won't need restrooms anymore.
No, why wait in line?
Exactly.
Why go to the World Series and miss the greatest play ever because you're in line for the bathroom?
Right. Well, here is a video we have. I mean, we're hoping that everything goes smoothly. We don't want it to explode, but This is
No.
what we do not want to happen tomorrow. Let's take a look.
Yeah.
Now that is not what want to happen tomorrow at all. Period.
Nope. I think he's way beyond that, because that was the old Merlin,
Right.
and when they were using kerosene.
Mm.
Like I said, he's done a lot of testing on different propellants, and I think kerosene was the low budget version. I mean, the immense budget you need to test rockets. I mean, just to watch one of those things explode on the launch pad is like cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of money just going into flames, and then hopefully you have the deep pockets to go back to the drawing board.
Right.
Now, what I heard, and I don't. This is not from Elon's mouth, but some of those guys that work for him on this program said, "We don't get paid if it doesn't work." That's how it works at
Sure.
SpaceX. If it doesn't work, we're not getting paid. So we make sure that everything, we dot our I's and cross our T's, and all of those things.
Just like in sales, if you don't sell anything, you don't get paid.
That's it. Like, they're not getting paid to just participate. Like,
Right.
the insinuation was that the space program had a lot of participants in its past, and that drives the budget up. Every time you bring, another scientist or another specialist or something like that into the mix, those guys don't make 50 grand. They make like 350. So, you have a whole staff of those guys that are basically putting input on how much aluminum foil to wrap the landing gear in. And you got a big budget, man. So that's one of the reasons why I think he was able to rein in the budget and put more into innovating than, salaries and stuff like that. He really did break the mold on a lot of stuff and start from almost like just imagination, which is awesome. And like I said, he took everything he learned from his other businesses. Like, there's stuff that he learned from the Boring Company, which is funny that he named that because it was his most boring endeavor, and it's the one that just drills holes in the ground for like tunnels and trains and stuff.
Right.
And stuff that he learned from that and from Tesla and stuff, and brought it all together. This is his favorite project. He's always dreamt of space.
Right.
So all the other things just made this possible.
Right. Yeah, so it'll be, again, a historic launch tomorrow at 4:33. I'm going to step outside at 4:33 and see if I can see it.
Oh, you definitely should be able to. Yeah.
Every blue moon I'm able to see a launch, actually.
Okay.
Just a little bit of it. I mean, it's, but because we're kind of, I think we're around
100 miles?
Maybe more.
Okay.
50 miles away. So I'll step outside. If it's a clear day, I'll be able to see a little bit of it. If not, then oh well.
Well, if it gets postponed, I think they said they're going to try Saturday.
Okay.
So if you do get that thunder, there's like a rolling thunderstorm that they're worried about coming through. Lightning is very bad, apparently, for launches.
Right.
One of the things that they do pre-launch, when you see all of that, what everybody thinks is like steam coming off and stuff like that, they're actually trying to get the static electricity also out of the air when they don't want anything to ignite what's not supposed to be ignited. That's really important in a rocket launch. So there's a method to all the madness, and there's a reason why they don't launch in lightning storms.
Yeah, right. I understand that. I mean, we don't want it to blow up. A lightning hit it, just like you said, Space Shuttle had a lightning hit it several times.
Right.
So hopefully that'll happen. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Of course, on Thursday we're going to go back to politics and virus news. We will show, hopefully, when the launch happens, what happened during the launch, of course.
Absolutely.
Today we went over 100,000 deaths today for the virus, so we need to get back on track, and we'll play some of that. But this was supposed to be all the space launch tomorrow. Appreciate you watching this. Do you have any last remarks there, Bill?
No, just looking forward to a safe launch, and we'll see you guys on Thursday.
All right, see you on Thursday, and please subscribe. You have a wonderful night.